Captain Larry Bell with Texas Fishing Tips. This is your weekly fishing report.
All down here on Rattlesnake Island, this little area right through here, up here in Ayers. Just work this down the shoreline from the cut all the way down to this other end of the ICW. Just take your time across there, find the grass, find the bait working, either up shallow or out deep. Again, one of the hurricanes that's out there, I think it's Zeta it's pushing more water that's in here right now. So look up shallow first, see if you find your bait working up there. If not, then work out a little bit deeper in that 2 to 3 foot of water. There's some very nice fish, trout specifically, that are hanging along the shoreline. They're running with that bait. Now, throwing your darker down south has been working. The supermodel has been working the best. The smaller version, the burner shad, hasn't been great. It's been okay. You can chunk it if you wish to, but the supermodel is the ticket. And the Double D is the other bait that's been working really well along the shoreline. Down here in Mesquite, down here close to Cedar Bayou, the mouth, this whole back flat, all the way across, all the way down there to Texas Parks and Wildlife Boat Lodge area down there. Again, with all the extra water that we've had in here, it's pushed more water up in here against this shoreline. It's all become in play. There are some redfish that are hanging up here in this grass. They're chasing bait, they're chasing shrimp, they're chasing little small crab that are up in here. Some mixed flounder are in here as well. If you find some of those sand pockets that are mixed in here among that grass, work those little sand pockets. The burner shad for your flounder has been spot on. You throw that little burner shad in there and work that thing through the bottom of that pothole, and you will locate you a few flounder along the way. But the redfish, again, the supermodel for the down south lure, darker versions, have worked well. The Little Johns have worked really well, and so have the provokers all across this back area for redfish and scattered trout. If you wish to make a run all the way down here to Panther, get into Cedar Lake. Again, more water, more fish can push back deeper into these little areas. Cedar Lake has come up pretty good. There's some nice redfish that are hanging in this area here. Again, they're not super big. You know, the 21 to 25s, they're nice, solid fish. If you're looking for box fish, this area back in here has got some in it. There's a good amount of bait that's working here. Great weightable bottom, this whole thing. Work the whole shoreline, work the middle of that thing. If you're not picking up anything in here, then slide around over here to the Twin Lake areas and work these areas in here. They're all holding a few redfish up and down and inside of this, outside of this area here. Look for your bait fish working. You'll find it because it's pretty obvious where it is. But the main thing that's been working really well in here has been the provokers and Little Johns back in this area here. I think the watermelon red has been the most productive for me in these two areas with those two particular baits, looking for your redfish. Long Reef Bend, all in this area here, man. Work this back shoreline really good. You know, you got those back lakes that dump out into this big flat area out here, right there behind the duck blinds. All that area there. Again, there's a lot of water that's pushed in here. All your bait's been pushed up back behind those duck blind areas, working up and down the shoreline. There has been a school of black drum that have been running up and down this area here as well. They'll show themselves, they'll drop back down, and one of the things that you can use that really works pretty good on them is the Little Johns. They'll eat the Little Johns. So if you've got Little Johns put on there and you want looking for some black drum, work this back shoreline, see if you can't find that school scooting up and down this area here. The one thing that you need to be aware of, we're starting to get cold fronts that's going to start pushing in on us. So those are things that you really need to keep your eye on. Your pressure change there, and obviously the wind is going to be the biggest deal, because you can have nice calm conditions with that south-southeast breeze. It's blowing 10 to 12, 15, and all of a sudden it's going to flip on you. It's going to be coming right back at you. So you need to be aware of those when you're in these big open areas like that, especially to the north. But continue to work this area here, a little deeper area out, and you'll find some solid trout. Working your darker down south have worked well. Supermodels, again, supermodels have been the ticket in all these different areas. So break those things out, work that deeper edge, work the deeper grass, and look for your redfish up tight against the shoreline. Down here in Spalding, these little areas back here, this middle back lake, run your boat back up in there. It's deep enough gut, especially with the extra water we got. Run it back up in there and drop it in the mouth of this little back lake right here. Check what your wind direction is so you know where you can start working. There's a nice little shell pad that's pushed up here against that left side when you come into it. Get on that back shoreline, throw you some topwaters back there, and work that for the redfish that are running in and out of this thing back here. If you got some bait working back in there, the bait will give it away. You'll see some bait flipping, moving. Redfish have been pretty active back in there. Again, these are not super big redfish. These are all the lower slot. They're in that 21 to 22 to 24, all back in here. And you should be able to come across some, either throw in your topwater. If you're going to be patient with it, throw it and stick with it. If not, throw your Little John back in here and work that across there, walk that bottom. Your darker down south have been good in this area as well. The double D has done pretty good back in here, but the one thing you have to be aware of, that grass that's back in there, and that double D will pull down in it, and you'll constantly get caught up in it, so you may not want to mess with it. But if you know how to work it and keep it out of that grass, it's been pretty effective bait as well.
Thanks for watching. I'm Captain Larry Bell.